And so when we sit down and have a conversation, I think that we definitely need to give voice to the underrepresented communities when we're sitting at that table.
Truth.
And this is what we're doing right now for ourselves as brown and black women. And a lot of the times when we show up to these other bigger conversations, we are put down and we are triggered and we are then defending ourselves instead of really talking about the issues we wanted to talk about. And that's why we need spaces that don't always include white people.
Yes, because we are always out of our way to adapt to everywhere we go.
Literally.
And so it gets
every day.
exhausting. I know. And, and that's part of why being in the middle is tough, only because of the fact that I'm like, no, I know. It is so much harder, though, on this side of the spectrum because
the spectrum, there is a middle in that spectrum. And what's kind of interesting is that we're all in the middle when we talk about where we are regionally.
Yeah. And then the intersection. So really the problem that most people have with when we have to defend the fact why we need people of color and a space where we feel represented is because of that fact, because we have to fight against it to be heard. And then God forbid you actually speak it into existence, because then you're told, sit down. You're not as important as mine.
You're acting with entitlement. How dare you?
That is the actual underlying issue, is that I mean, not that I'm speaking for everybody, but I'm just saying that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm saying, hey, how about we include this? No, because it's not mine. And if I don't see myself in it, then I don't support it.
Yeah.
So to take the words out of it, that's what the sentence is saying. And that is troubling, because it's like, it is exhausting. I'm like, I always have to adapt to you. So please let me just be me.
Let me have this.
Right. And let me feel valid. Let me feel validated in your space.
Let me feel
space,
welcomed
somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
And then part of the reason that I feel that you guys feel, not you guys, as in, I mean artists. Sorry, I should probably.
No, I don't think. I think when I say, like, for me, artists are people and people are artists.
Yes.
That's an interchangeable word for me.
Yes. So I think that when you as artists feel like, okay, so here's my art, that is essentially you. And so I feel like if you don't feel validated, and part of what you were saying in the very beginning of this podcast was, if you don't get right with you first, then how the hell are you going to be love somebody else?
And RuPaul.
Right. So I think a lot of that is like, if you don't feel right with your own community, then it is like you have to
clean your house, girl.
Yes, you have to use your community to give you energy and spark joy in your life to be able to deal with the rest of the shit. So
no, it's a really messy thing, and I feel like a lot of times, like, when we talk about exclusion, people do get a little bit like, oh no, segregation. And it's
God.
dude, come back down. Come back down. Let's talk.
Yeah.
But it's just like, let's think again about what it is to be a neighbor and what it means to be a person who cares about your neighbor and your neighborhood and the area that you live in.
Right.
We're all global citizens. Today we're recording on International Women's Day. And like, for me, that's something that we need to really, really think more about, because I feel like we are international.
Yes. And
we need to break down those borders.
That is another issue that I hear a lot on International Women's Day, is why I don't label myself as a feminist. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Here's the reason why.
It's white feminism.
Exactly. It's because I'm second still. So until we address the fact that women are not just one side, then I cannot call myself a feminist, because I feel like if I were to argue the same shit, it's like, wait a minute, no, because we don't even have equality yet in America. And I'm like, excuse me. Just because we're women of color doesn't make us any more or less American. What the fuck are you even saying?
Yeah, I mean, American culture is black culture. I think that's the first thing that a lot of people get messed up. And I've spoken on this a lot. How people always assume that white culture is American culture, and that's wrong. That's not right.
First of all, I would also like to put, like, let's also address the fact that if you're saying American culture as a whole, then you're excluding, just by the word, South Americans and upper North Americans. Like, American is not just you bitches in the middle of the United States, okay? And by you bitches, I mean me too, okay?
And this is like, and this land is stolen. So what do you, why are you calling it America too?
Right.
Like, let's talk about the cultures that were here before that you committed genocide on.
Right. And if you feel uncomfortable, like, always have, like, oh, no, I can't possibly have another language spoken. Maybe you should take a tour to Europe, because you will actually understand probably what it feels to be in an area where you're unwanted, by the way, because most Europeans don't understand the United States culture, because they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, we had a real, like, I think our history is just completely different, and we're not as established in terms of, like, how they see us on the world stage.
We're not as mature yet, right?
I don't know. I just want to I do want to share this.
Oh, yes.
It's just some reminders for us to read women, cite women, credit women, teach women, publish women, present women, acknowledge women, award women, amplify women, hire women, support women, promote women, hear women, believe women, follow women, pay women, pay women, pay women. And that was, can you read that name for me? I'm bad at names and words sometimes.
Shailaja Patel.
Yeah. Yes. So I think we need to remember that when we're getting together. And, like, for me, like, one of the broader communities that I do belong in is the community of women.
Yes.
And I feel like I do include non-binary femmes and trans women and all of the people who identify with womanhood. And I don't want to be a TERF in any way, and I do identify with my feminism, and my feminism is not white.
Sisters, not sisters.
So I also have another quote by Erica Hart, who is an amazing person here, and they wrote, on International Women's Day, remember that having a vulva, breasts, wearing a dress, lipstick, heels, having a uterus, period, baby, abortion doesn't mean you identify as a woman. Gender is in your brain, not between your legs or what you wear.
Exactly.
So I think we just need to, like, for me, it's about being mindful of who we are and how we are seen as powerless because of where we stand in our femininity.
Yeah.
And trying to take back that power. And I think that's what, for me, womanhood is, you know?
Yes. And how we define it amongst your own person.
Yeah. And even this, like, to me is very powerful.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can help us out by subscribing on your podcast app and leaving a rating or review. Find Hey Neighbor on Facebook or on Twitter at HeyNeighborPod. Feel free to leave us feedback or conversation ideas. You can also email us at heyneighborpodcast@gmail.com. Bye, neighbors.